This is, of course, Elton John, Your Song, one of his early songs, of course, well, from the album that put him on the map, really his second album, called Elton John. Back in the days when albums were really cool, this was on the Uni label, and they came with words and all kinds of cool stuff, sometimes posters. Of course, Elton had made an earlier album called Empty Sky that didn't really go anywhere, but this one had a couple of hits. 60 Years On, Take Me to the Pilot, although the single was Border Song, I think, was the first one they released. But anyway, some great tunes on this. If you don't have it, get it. But he put out a pile of albums in a span of about 3 years. This one came out in 1970. By 1972, he had done his fifth. I count them as five because the first one really got kind of caught on after the fact. But between this one and then Tumbleweed Connection and Madman Across the Water and Honky Chateau and then Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player and Yellow Brick Road, pile of stuff in the early 70s for Elton. Your Song is, of course, and as most of his tunes are, piano-based. Now what we're going to do in this lesson is, you heard me just play it, and it sounded a lot like what happens on the piano. So there's some you can usually finger pick most piano songs because that's kind of what Elton is doing on the piano, as again, a lot of piano players work this way, with arpeggios of chords. And big difference though that piano players put in their songs sometimes is inversions of chords with something other than the root in the bass. So in this song we'll be talking about playing it, he does it in the key of E flat. So if you want to play along with the album, put a capo at the 3rd fret. I play it in C, which really makes the picking work out just great as far as the way it works, as far as trying to get the piano sound. So we'll be looking at the song in the key of C, and again, if you want to play along with the original recording, put a capo at the 3rd fret to put you up in the key of E flat. But we're going to play a lot of songs in inversions, chords that have something other than the root in the bass. And I will talk about playing this sort of as a campfire version, just playing the chords without the inversions, but the inversions make a big difference. And we'll throw in a few little, I hope I remember to get to that when I get to the lesson, because that's a little thing that you do hear a guitar do in the middle of the 3rd verse. So this will mostly be modified arpeggios, or a style of arpeggios, sometimes straight arpeggios, hitting notes one at a time, sometimes ones that have kind of an alternating bass. So that's what we'll be taking a look at in this song. It comes with a page with a chart that has all the chords, and you'll notice if you look at the chart, a lot of slash chords. Those are our inversions. Many of those can be played without the odd bass note. In particular, the F major 7 with C in the bass and the G with B in the bass could just be played as F major 7s and Gs. The A minor with the descending bass line you got to do. A minor, G in the bass, F sharp in the bass to F major 7. And we'll talk about a few different ways of fingering some of these chords coming up in the next segment or two. So let me see. Oh, and then there's a page of tablature that shows some of the picking patterns, like one way of going through it, but not. It doesn't have to be exactly the same every time. So that's what. Anyway, that's what we'll be talking about in this song, is getting the beginning part to sound like the piano. And that right there is a great example of a piano technique keeping the same bass note, the C in the bass, over a C chord, an F chord, a G chord, and then back to F with C in the bass. So very kind of distinctive sound that you hear at the beginning of this song, and of course even when you hear it on the guitar, it's very recognizable. So we'll talk about the chords, talk about the picking, put it all together, and kind of do our own little version of Elton John and Bernie Taupin. I got to mention Bernie because, of course, Elton doesn't write lyrics to any of these songs, and Bernie writes lyrics, sends them off to Elton, and Elton comes up with incredible music, especially considering he's already got the lyrics in front of him. Not a way many songwriters work, but Elton has got it down. Elton and Bernie have the formula working. So we really have to thank a fortuitous pairing of these two for bringing us generations of just fabulous songs. Anyway, that's it. We will take a look at Your Song.